Here's a hot take. The UFC should have never stripped Conor McGregor of his belt. Coming from this side of the McGregor divide, where I'm always the one to take it a little bit slower in terms of the hype and not be as in love, say so much, as the one to my right, who, by the way, who was named GQ's most stylish man of the year? Conor McGregor.
I mean, his suits are.
I thought Cam could have come close.
Oh yeah, Cam's got more outlandish style.
And Andre Iguodala deserved a nod. You should look at the Andre Iguodala style.
I've looked at them both. Russell Westbrook as well, a little outlandish.
Come on now. Come on.
Is it busy?
Come on now. Let's be real. Is it style or is it?
You are so channeling your inner Ben Mankiewicz right now. I can just see a young Ben.
Yeah. Back to the point of belts, which has to do with style in a way. Conor McGregor. Here's the thing. As I pointed out during the UFC 206 recap that I did from home, on a card that was on paper passable, but in reality fantastic. All the fights, amazing, really top to bottom. However, they said, and by they I mean Dana White, that they had to strip Conor McGregor of his belt or that he willingly gave it up. We're talking about Conor McGregor. There's just no way he was like, yeah, Dana, I shipped it first class to you with a little note,
polished
with a thank you on it, and some Christmas candy for as a thank you for all you've done for me. No way that happened. I refuse to believe it. My point being, they took the belt away from McGregor to unclog the division, right? And then Pettis didn't make weight, so he could not win the interim title, regardless if he beat Max Holloway, but Max Holloway beat him, and now there has to be a unification bout between Aldo and Max Holloway at UFC 208 in Brooklyn, which is a very interesting fight. And then, what? One of them is the featherweight belt holder? I get it. With McGregor possibly not fighting maybe for another year or 2 years or 3 years in the featherweight division, there wouldn't be someone to hold the belt. Except that person is Conor McGregor. So why do they not just have contenders for it, challengers for it? And then when Conor wants to fight, or if Dana White truly has all this power, make him fight Aldo again. Make him fight Holloway. There are two fights that Conor McGregor knows he could win. He's beaten Aldo once with a devastating left hook, which, by the way, happened a year ago today.
Oh.
Picture.
Aye.
So look at how this all ties in. I'm like the Westworld loop in one fucking 1 minute clip. Francis, should Conor McGregor get his belt back? Yes or no?
I just don't think it should have ever been taken away from him in the first place. I think that it was taken away as a means to salvage a card that was never going to get as many views as you thought. We talked about this in the last clip. Like, if you weren't going to tune in for UFC 206, you weren't all of a sudden going to be, your interest was turned around because there's a belt involved. Oh my God, I can't wait to see that belt. If no one gave a shit before the belt, they wouldn't have given a shit when you attached the belt to it. That was just a means to try and get more viewers in, try and get more pay-per-view buys, and make the card
I think it got a couple more viewers.
It might have got like, I would say 5 or 6. But anyway.
Oh, Manchester City.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think that it was monumental in the move. It was a means to make it seem more important, right? And it's to try and maintain this level of how competitive this division is without Conor McGregor deciding on whether or not he's going to fight in the division for a year or whatever. But again, I just think that no matter who emerges at the end with the belt, no one is going to look at that person as the just champion of the featherweight division. Right. And that's where my problem occurs, because even if you strip Conor McGregor of the belt and gave it over to Jose Aldo to defend or whatever else, if they had to both win it, they wouldn't be considered that champion unless they fought Conor. And therefore, you're in that catch-22, because do you get Conor to come back and fight, or do you just have it be given to one of them to go on and defend further through the division?
I think a lot of the speculation is that, well, Conor's not going to fight Holloway. Conor could lose to Holloway. Of course, it's the UFC. Any one fighter can lose to another fighter at any given moment. At any given moment. And the example I'm going to use is Demetrius Johnson versus Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott was a plus 200 million underdog to fighting the best pound-for-pound fighter technically in the game right now, right? He went 5 rounds with him. I mean, and yes, Demetrius Johnson, a unanimous decision, but he still went 5 rounds with him. Nate Diaz, the first time he fought Conor McGregor, had to tap out. Like, McGregor then proved Eddie Alvarez made him look like nothing. He actually made him look amateurish in about 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the second round. The Chad Mendes, the ground game. So I love the split that has occurred in the MMA of what they call Conor McGregor fanboys, right? And how I think there's only one fight that Conor McGregor shouldn't take. If I'm Conor McGregor, that's Khabib Nurmagomedov, because I think Khabib is the one person who would be a dangerous threat to McGregor, while I very much believe McGregor would beat Holloway. I think he'd beat Aldo again, but I think that those also would be very interesting, fun, sellout fights. So give him the belt back, and when he wants to fight, let him fight. I don't see the major harm in, well, there's no belt title holder in the featherweight division. It's clogging it up.
Dana White just wants to keep things moving. He doesn't want to have anything stand still. But at the same time, I don't think he realizes that keeping it moving doesn't make it more mouth-watering, doesn't make the division so much more watchable. It just makes it, in a way, have the title at the end of it. There's a champion there, therefore you have to go and fight for it. But I don't know. Like, I hate the argument that Conor McGregor dodges people. I think it's pathetic.
I think the UFC dodges people on behalf of Conor McGregor.
I think that he has fought who has been laid in front of him. Like you said, Khabib was yelling from the rooftops before that he should have. He didn't fight in a ridiculous amount of time, and then he come back and had one fight, and then he wanted that title fight. Like
he's a crazy person.
Yeah,
which is good
he
for
was
the
yelling
UFC.
at Dana whilst he was punching a guy in the head. You see this?
Give me McGregor!
You see this? You like that? And so yeah, I think that wasn't the fight that was going to happen. I mean, we really don't know. I mean, the thing that Conor McGregor has defied is expectation. He likes to go above and beyond what anyone expects him to do, so I would not be surprised if it was announced that he was going to fight Tyron Woodley, because I know Woodley's been yelling that he wants that fight as well. That, I think, would be the most dangerous, because he's going to have to compete with a man who is humongous.
Hey, what about Wonder Boy?
Well, that depends on that fight as well, but technically Tyron Woodley is the man who holds the belt. So, despite it being a draw, I know that Wonder Boy wants that fight. I want to see that fight. But we're talking about McGregor here, a guy that has shattered records, will continue to shatter records, and that's a record-shattering fight, because even though he was stripped of the second belt, they would still call him the 3-belt champion if he went on and done that.
What do we know for a fact? The UFC loves publicity. How is it possibly a bad thing for the UFC and all of its growth that has occurred over the last calendar year, which is amazing why we bring up the KO in 13 seconds. It was only a year ago.
Yeah.
To see what McGregor has accomplished in 1 year in the fight game is remarkable, when Golovkin versus Alvarez hasn't happened yet. But no, boxing's fine. We know that the UFC loves publicity, so I don't see the problem with having McGregor walk out of his Rolls Royce with 2 belts on everywhere he goes to piss off the rest of the UFC, and everybody wants a title shot.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's not even a title shot, everybody wants to fight McGregor.
Everyone.
Brock Lesnar would want to fight McGregor. That seems like a mismatch, but still.
He took on the mountain.
He took on the mountain, and I get it. I understand it. I think that the fight game comments section, those who follow boxing and UFC, MMA, mixed martial art, all of it, right?
Yeah.
I think that some of the most passionate fans in the world and some of the most outspoken fans in the world. I do, because they get heated about this, and there's obviously different camps when it comes to the UFC. There's also different literal fight camps. But when it comes to the UFC, there's McGregor's, there's the McGregor fan base, there's the fan base for some specific fighters, there's the anti-McGregor fans. But what does that tell you? What does that tell you when there's so many people who have a word about
More people
McGregor?
are watching it.
More people are watching.
They're the exact same type of fans as those that have been listening to the Beatles their whole life, or listening to the Rolling Stones, and then all of a sudden you see someone walk down with a Mick Jagger shirt, and you're like, that guy did not know Mick Jagger when he was great, so he should not appreciate him now. And it's the same way as, like, they've watched the UFC from the very beginning, from its birth, from its inception, and they feel entitled that it's theirs. So those that have been there more so from the beginning and not been part of the new wave McGregorisms, they should deserve their fight. They should deserve their chance. But that's not the way business works. Technology has to evolve. People have to evolve. You have to get used to it. You can boycott your Apple phone and be like, I fucking hate this thing. And I'm watching it and I'm using it and I'm tuning in and paying for McGregor. It's why the sport's growing. It's why it's everywhere. It's why you have celebrities surrounding the octagon before the fight and not just Dana and Joe's shiny heads.
I like their shiny heads.
Would you shine his head for a belt?
For a shot at a belt? What division do you think I'd fight in?
Bantamweight.
Women's bantamweight.
All right, let us know what you think in the comment section below. Should Conor McGregor just have held on to both belts?
Fruit flyweight.
We're making up our own weights, yeah.
108 pounds.
Hit us in the comment below. Let us know on Twitter, Francis_Maxwell, Jason91. Hit that subscribe button and hit the bell because you will be saved by the bell.